Welcome to the Live Free, Love Life podcast, where we discuss how to create more freedom so we can love our lives no matter what we're going through. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live Free, Love Life podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop doing what you don't want to do. How many of y'all are doing things you don't want to do all the time? We are going to break free from the chains of have to, need to, and should. Okay. So in our daily lives, we often use phrases like have to, need to, and should without even giving them a second thought. You may have noticed how often you use them. Maybe you haven't even noticed. So this is a great time to start paying attention. These words seem harmless. We hear them all the time. We hear them out of our own mouths. We hear them out of other people's mouths. But I promise you, they are holding you back in very significant ways. Have to is a phrase that adds a really heavy burden to anything we add it to. So when we constantly tell ourselves we have to do something, it can lead to a sense of obligation, pressure, and even resentment. Whether it's a task at work, it's household chores, personal goals, anytime you use have to, it makes us feel like we lack control and are at the mercy of external forces. So when we use have to, we have no freedom. Then there's need to. Need to suggests necessity, and it often creates anxiety, overwhelm, and stress. When we constantly focus on what we need to do, it can overshadow the things we genuinely want to do. This pressure to meet external expectations can also lead to burnout and a loss of self-direction. Need to removes the freedom to do what you want. And then there is the trap of should. Should is often used to express societal or personal expectations. We may tell ourselves we should exercise more, eat healthier, or work longer hours. Even when these expectations seem positive, most of us will agree that exercising seems like a good idea, right? It seems like a positive thing. Thinking we should do it often leads to feelings of guilt and inadequacy when we don't live up to it. Should can be a harsh and unforgiving taskmaster. And the truth is, there is nothing you should do. Should isn't real. It is totally made up. And it takes away your freedom. So every time you use these words, have to, need to, and should, you are taking away your own freedom. You are putting yourself in shackles. And on top of all of this, each time we tell ourselves we have to, we need to, or we should, we make it so much harder to do the thing, no matter what it is. Using these words, it's like there's you, and then over there, way over there, is the thing that you actually want to do for whatever reason. You do want to do it. And when you say you have to do it, or you should do it, or you need to do it, you dig this giant pit of thick, heavy sludge. And you put it in between you and the thing you actually want to do. So now, not only are you not free to do what you want, you also aren't free to do it in a way that's easy or enjoyable. So just imagine for a minute, you're laying on the couch, maybe you're catching up on a bit of Netflix or reading a book or something, and you think, I should get the kitchen cleaned before dinner. Now, the chances of you actually cleaning the kitchen are much lower if you think, I should, than if you think, I want to get the kitchen cleaned up before dinner. All we did is switch one word. Want to versus should. All right. We just switched that. And the chance of you doing it, much lower with should. And even if you did get up and clean when you said you should do it, the chances of you enjoying your experience is lower still. When you think, I want to get the kitchen cleaned up for dinner, you're much more likely to get up and enjoy that experience of doing it. When you think, I should get up and clean the kitchen before dinner, you're much less likely to do it. But even if you do it, it's not going to be fun. You're like, I have to clean the kitchen. That word should makes it harder to do it, and it makes it harder to enjoy it. And if we just switch it for I want to, you can create a totally different experience. These words have power. So here's another example from one of my clients. I call him John because we like to keep everyone anonymous. I often noticed that John was using have to, need to, and should all the time in his language. I have to work late every night to get that promotion. I need to make everyone happy. And the constant use of these phrases was causing him immense stress and affecting his well-being a lot. As I showed John the power of these words and how they affected him, we were through our coaching sessions, he decided that he wanted to do an experiment, because that's what I'm always telling you to do, is do experiments. He wanted to try not using these words. So he started changing those words, and he shifted his mindset by changing I have to work late to I choose to work late because it aligns with my career goals. And instead of saying I need to make everyone happy, he began saying I will do my best to make people happy, but I can't please everyone all the time. So both of these just little teeny shifts in the words, they allowed him to reduce his stress, to set healthier boundaries, to focus on his own well-being, and ultimately he improved all his relationships and his work-life balance just by switching a couple words in the way we talk about things. How do we break free from these limiting phrases? Number one is use different words. You want to recognize that your choices are yours to make. They truly are. When you use have to, need to, and should, you are not recognizing that your choices are yours to make. You are taking your choices away from yourself. My favorite replacements for these three are want to, choose to, and my very favorite is get to, because get to feels so good to me. So why do you want to do this? Why do you choose to do this? Why do you get to do this? If you cannot answer one of these questions in a way that feels good, as in you truly believe it and you feel it in your body that it's true, that you really do want to do it, or you choose to do it, or you get to do it, don't do it. If it's something you cannot adopt one of those three things, if you're still in have to, need to, or should, let's do the thing until we can get to a place where we either want to, choose to, or get to do it. Which comes to number two, give yourself permission to only do what you want to do. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying we're all going to stop living our lives. We're not going to go to work. We're not going to clean. We're just going to go to Disneyland all day or lay on the couch all day. That's not what I'm saying. You may want to go to work because you love being able to pay your mortgage. I don't really want to live on the street. I love getting a paycheck, which means I love going to work. I love it. I want to go to work so I can get a paycheck so I can pay my mortgage, because paying my mortgage is awesome. Or all of my other bills. I like being able to pay my bills. I want to go to work. If want to still doesn't feel good, like if your brain's like, no, we don't, then we try choose to. I choose to go to work because I want to pay my bills. I love paying my bills. Paying my bills is good because I don't want to live on the street, and I don't want to not have heat, and I don't want to not have food. We just try them on. Want to, choose to, get to. Get to is my favorite because it feels the best in my body. So I actually like to start there. I get to go to work. Actually, that does kind of feel true. There are lots of people out there that don't have jobs and they are stressed out and overwhelmed and all the things. I'm so grateful that I get to go to work. If I can step into that, that one feels the best to me. So I always try to start with that. Sometimes it doesn't feel true. So then I choose to, want to, or choose to. But I get to go to work. Oh man, that feels so much better than I have to go to work, doesn't it? It's a total shift in your body, which changes your entire experience of the thing. Okay? When you say you have to go to work, you limit yourself. You make it harder to go, and you make it much harder to enjoy it. And you make it much harder to enjoy the whole rest of everything in your life. You create this experience for yourself that's terrible. But if you get to go to work, or if you choose to go to work, or if you want to go to work, totally different. Okay? Let's try another one. You may want to exercise because it makes your body feel amazing. But each time you tell yourself you should, you limit yourself. You make it harder to exercise, harder to enjoy it. Why do you actually want to exercise? Why do you choose to exercise? Why do you get to exercise? Those are going to, one, make it more likely you exercise, and two, make it more likely that you enjoy the experience. You may want to finish the dishes because you love having a clean house. But each time you tell yourself you need to, you limit yourself. You make it harder to wash the dishes. You make it harder to enjoy the experience. My friends, we've got to give ourselves permission to only do what we want to do. And I'm including choose to, get to in the want. These are things we want to do. We already do want to do them. you know what? I actually do want to take care of my kids. But when I tell myself I should do things for them, I make it harder to do it and I make it miserable. I actually really do want to do it. So why not adopt the words that are actually true and also create a totally different experience, an experience where we have freedom instead of shackles? Okay. Number 3, make a not to do list. If you do not want, choose, or get to do something, consider adding it to your not to do list. Why torture yourself about things you don't want to do? And often things you're probably not going to do anyway. Let me give you an example. Weeding is on my not to do list. It was on my to do list for a very long time. I hate weeding. Every time I do it, my whole arms get covered in hives. I'm highly allergic. And then I'm really itchy. And then I have to come in and scrub all of the skin off of my arms and hands. It's not a fun experience. And I don't enjoy the experience of it anyway. It would be one thing if I enjoyed being out there in the dirt like a lot of people do. I don't enjoy that either. The whole thing is torture from beginning to end. I hate weeding. I don't want to do it. I don't choose to do it. I don't get to do it. None of those feel true. I truly don't want to do it. But it was always on my to-do list, nagging at me. You still haven't weeded. Your yard looks terrible. All the neighbors are judging you. You should probably get the weeding done. It was always there, causing all of this drama, but I still wasn't doing it because I didn't want to. When I moved weeding to my not to-do list, man, the freedom I gave myself every time my brain's like, you should probably weed that. I'm like, oh, brain, we already decided not to. It's on the not to do list, remember? And then I move on. I don't have a second thought about it. Even if my brain looks at the weeds and decides that something should be done about it, I'm just like, oh, yeah, it's on the not to do list. It's not a problem. Add things like this. You can find your own. Add them to your not to do list and just be done with them. Then each time your brain reminds you, you just lovingly remind your brain it's on your not to do list and it doesn't need any more of your time or attention. So let's recap. Breaking free from the limiting phrases of have to, need to, and should. This is how we do it. Number 1, we're going to use different words. Choose to, want to, get to. There may be another option that you find that works really well for you. Go ahead and grab it. There's not a right or wrong answer here. What matters is that it feels good in your body. That when you use it, you actually feel good as you go do the thing. That's what we want. Number 2, give yourself permission to only do what you want to do. And number 3, make a not to do list. Okay, here are some questions for you to consider. What things do you have to, and for those of you not watching, I'm putting that in air quotes again. I'm going to put all these in air quotes. What things do you have to do? And why? And how might you be wrong about that? What if you don't actually have to? There's moms all over the world that don't take care of their kids. There truly are, which means we don't have to do it. We truly don't, because there are people who don't. So it must not be a have to. It must be something else. That's how we might be wrong about it. What things do you think you need to do? Why? How might you be wrong about that? Maybe you don't need to go to work. People all over the world don't. They're just like, you know what? I don't want to go to work. I'm not going. And they don't. Which means maybe you don't need to. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe that's true. What things do you think you should do? Why? This is my very favorite one to play with. Because where did should come from? Says who? Who says I should? Who are these people? How did they become the people that make up the rules? Why do I think that what they think is more important than what I think? Or if I'm the one that thinks I should, why? What does it mean about me if I don't? Really, we're afraid when it's our own expectations. We are afraid of what we will think about ourselves if we don't do it. There's some self-judgment there. But why would you choose to think that about yourself? Why truly should you do it? How might you be wrong? And then take each of these answers, all the things that you think you have to, you need to, and you should do. Take every one of those things and then consider why you want to do it, why you choose to do it, or why you get to do it. Play with each of those. See which one feels best in your body. If it's want to, choose to, or get to, maybe put them in priority order based on how they feel. And then start changing the language because you truly do want to do it. And if you really don't, just put it on the not to do list. So remember, this is your life and your choices and your path to create. Embrace the freedom to shape your destiny in a way that aligns with your true desires and values. You already have the freedom to do so. The only thing limiting you from doing it is you. You are always the one that limits your freedom, at least in the ways we're talking about. We're not talking about tyranny. We're not talking about invading armies. That's not what we're talking about. This podcast is about the way in which we limit ourselves, the way we limit our own freedom. The freedom is there, ready for you to grab it. It really is your life and your choices and your path to create. You have to choose to embrace that freedom. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to do anything. And there is nothing that you should do. There is only what you want to do, what you choose to do, and what you get to do. Now that is freedom. Live free, love life. Thank you for watching this episode of Live Free, Love Life. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you next time.